Hurricane Humberto threatens the United States, and experts are sounding the alarm. This isn't just another storm spinning in the Atlantic. Humberto has rapidly intensified into a Category 4 system, with winds well over 140 miles per hour, and it's riding on unusually warm ocean waters that are acting like rocket fuel. What most people don't realize is that hurricanes don't just need warm surfaces. They thrive on something called ocean heat content, which measures how deep that warmth goes. Right now, the Atlantic waters are running hotter and deeper than usual, giving Humberto a powerful engine to keep strengthening as it moves westward. When people hear about a hurricane, the first thing they think of is wind speed. The images of roofs flying off, trees bending sideways, and debris scattered across neighborhoods are what stick in our minds. But history shows us that the deadliest part of a hurricane isn't always the wind. In the case of Hurricane Katrina in 2005, it wasn't just the wind that devastated New Orleans, it was the storm surge, massive walls of water that overwhelmed levees and flooded 80% of the city. Some areas saw water levels rise nearly 28 feet, swallowing entire neighborhoods in minutes. Humberto has the potential to create a similar kind of surge if it edges closer to the U.S. coastline, particularly in low-lying regions like the Carolinas or even parts of the mid-Atlantic. One of the biggest challenges with Humberto is forecasting where it will go. Hurricanes don't follow straight lines. They dance with the atmosphere, influenced by high-pressure systems, jet streams, and sometimes even other storms. Right now, there's a developing system in the Atlantic, which could become Tropical Storm Imelda. When two cyclones get close enough, something rare can happen called the Fujiwhara Effect. This is when the storms begin rotating around one another, like two spinning tops caught in each other's pull. It's unpredictable and can suddenly shift Humberto's path, either dragging it closer to land or spinning it back out to sea. Most people don't know that this phenomenon has changed hurricane tracks before, surprising even the most experienced forecasters. That's why officials are warning that while models suggest Humberto may stay offshore, the door to a U.S. landfall isn't fully closed. Beyond the track and the winds, Humberto also highlights a much bigger story: the connection between climate and hurricanes. Scientists agree that climate change isn't necessarily creating more storms, but it is supercharging the ones that do form. Warmer waters make rapid intensification more common. A storm can go from a weak tropical storm to a Category 4 monster in less than 48 hours, giving communities less time to prepare. We saw this with Hurricane Michael in 2018, which exploded just before striking Florida, and Humberto is showing similar patterns. This is one of the reasons experts are comparing Humberto's threat level to historic storms like Katrina. The lesson from Katrina wasn't just about broken levees or poor evacuation plans. It was about what happens when we underestimate nature's power and ignore the warning signs. What many people don't know is that the costliest damage from hurricanes doesn't always come from the initial hit. It's often the aftermath: weeks without power, contaminated drinking water, collapsed infrastructure, and long-term displacement of families. After Katrina, more than 1 million people were displaced from the Gulf Coast, with many never returning to their homes. Humberto, even if it doesn't make a direct landfall, could create ripple effects across coastal communities. Dangerous surf, rip currents, and flooding rains are already being forecast for the Caribbean and could extend up toward Bermuda and eventually the eastern seaboard of the United States. Hurricanes also reveal a lot about human resilience and vulnerability. Katrina showed the world how unequal disaster impacts can be. Poorer communities, people without reliable transportation, and those living in older housing were hit the hardest. In many ways, Humberto is a test of whether we've learned from that history. Have coastal states strengthened their emergency management systems? Are evacuation routes clear? Do families have plans for what to do if a Category 4 hurricane suddenly shifts closer? These are the questions Humberto forces us to ask, long before any winds reach the shoreline. It's also important to remember the role of technology. In 2005, during Katrina, forecasting tools were good but not nearly as advanced as today. Now, meteorologists use supercomputers, drones, and satellites that can scan storms in real time, measuring wind fields, rainfall, and sea surface temperatures. Artificial intelligence is also being integrated into forecasting models, helping improve accuracy and speed. Yet, even with all this technology, nature remains unpredictable. That's why preparedness is still the most powerful defense. Experts always say, don't focus only on the category number. Category 2 or 3 storms can still be catastrophic if they move slowly and dump relentless rainfall. Katrina was a Category 3 when it made landfall, and yet its impact is remembered as one of the worst natural disasters in U.S. history. Humberto is a reminder that hurricanes are not just weather events, they are social and historical markers. Each one tells us something about how we live, how we build, and how we respond to crisis. Katrina reshaped New Orleans, its culture, and even its politics. Sandy changed how New York and New Jersey think about storm surge and coastal protection, and Humberto, regardless of whether it makes landfall, is teaching us about rapid intensification, climate patterns, and the global story of warming oceans. So, as Humberto spins in the Atlantic, the message is clear. Stay informed, stay cautious, and don't underestimate a storm that still has days to evolve. History doesn't just repeat itself. It warns us. Katrina showed the consequences of ignoring those warnings. Humberto is the latest reminder that storms are not just measured in wind speed, but in lives changed, economies disrupted, and lessons either learned or ignored. Whether it makes landfall or not, Humberto is a story of science, resilience, and the fragile balance between humanity and nature. That's why experts are urging everyone along the East Coast to pay close attention in the coming days. Even if the center of Humberto stays offshore, its reach will extend hundreds of miles, with dangerous waves, flooding, and rip currents. The lesson from Katrina still echoes today. Never assume you re-safe just because you re-not in the bull SI. Hurricanes don't have to make a direct hit to change history. Humberto is proof of that.